Selfies and Autograph Party, the BEN TV Awards 2014. BEN TV Awards, Bridging the Gap.
Talk Time, a social, political and cultural youth show that puts your issues first.
We cover all the hot topics, such as domestic violence,
gun and knife crime,
youth adoption,
teen pregnancy,
youth unemployment,
and, well, basically the list goes on.
So all the hot topics affecting the youth, we cover it. So what time's that show on, Letitia?
That would be Thursday, 6 till 7.
So we see you guys then?
Yes, we will.
It's fun time. Hello and welcome to BEN TV's Politics Show with me, Lester Holloway, and my moustache. It's still there, it's still November, and we are the show that gets under the skin of politics, scratches the body politic, and gets below the surface. So there's a lot of itching and scratching going on in today's show. There's plenty coming up for you in the show. We'll be linking up with the aid worker, Zainab Tunkara Clarkson, from Sierra Leone. She's over there with an aid agency helping Ebola victims. Ebola has claimed over 5,000 lives in 3 West African countries. And we'll be asking whether the aid effort is coming too late to prevent a disaster of unimaginable proportions. We'll also be speaking to a woman who pulled out of the race to be party president of the Liberal Democrats. She accused the Liberal Democrats of being a party of Neanderthal views and underhand racism. Pauline Pearce is her name, and she's otherwise known as the Hackney heroine after reaching a certain amount of fame after having a go at some protesters in 2011 after the riots sparked in London by the police shooting of Mark Duggan. We'll be asking her whether her party and politics in general is welcoming to black, African and Caribbean people, or whether there is underhand racism at play. We'll also be talking about the N-word. I'm not going to use it. We all know what it is. My own view is that it's a word which is stained in the blood of enslavement and racism. But the issue came to the fore a couple of days ago when the former Mirror journalist and editor, currently CNN presenter Piers Morgan, wrote an article in the Daily Mail in which he said that if African and Caribbean people try harder to eradicate the word, then all will be well with the world. But there was quite a lot of negative reaction to that, particularly on Twitter. You can see Piers Morgan there with his very smug face. And he was also attacked by the singer John Legend, who said that it's none of his business. This is not Piers Morgan's issue to get involved with. We'll be talking to Lekia Lee, who is someone who has done an exhibition previously on the N-word, and we'll be talking to her about whether it is Piers Morgan's business to get involved in this debate, or whether the fact that he has created this controversy is in some way a testament to the fact that perhaps people within our communities are not speaking up enough about the N-word. We'll also be reviewing the papers shortly with the journalist Juliana Olapido. But first, the news with Saratu Ishawa Ayadu.
The international humanitarian groups Médecins Sans Frontières and Doctors Without Borders have announced that they will host clinical trials in 3 Ebola treatment centres in West Africa. 2 antiviral drugs will be trialled in Guinea and in another unconfirmed location. The trials are aimed at quickly finding an effective solution against this disease, which has so far claimed over 5,000 lives in that region. 2 drugs were selected from a World Health Organization shortlist of potential Ebola treatments. Zambia's ruling Patriotic Front will today choose a new party leader ahead of the forthcoming elections following the death of Michael Sata, the former president of Zambia. Michael Sata was 77 when he died in a London hospital last month following a long period of illness. The oil firm, the giant Royal Dutch Shell, has been warned that a pipeline which spilled up to 500,000 barrels of oil in the Ogoniland region of Nigeria has reached the end of its shelf life. In 2008, 2 oil spills affected about 35 square miles, according to a group that is suing Shell for damages. Amnesty International has said that the incident polluted drinking water, causing headaches and eyesight problems to the local population. But Shell have dismissed the allegation, claiming that the pipeline is safe to operate. And finally, a Nigerian scientist has obtained a patent for his pioneering work converting urine into flammable gases. Ejakime Patrick Nwosu has raised hopes that urine may solve the world's energy crisis.
Thank you so much, Saratu, for the news there, and welcome back to the Politics Show with me, Lester Holloway. Now, I mentioned earlier that we'll be discussing Ebola, and there are many views, there are many different views about the way in which this has been covered, and also whether enough help is being given to the victims of Ebola. Over 5,000 people died, over 14,000 people are affected so far in Sierra Leone and Guinea in particular, and also Liberia. I think Liberia is the worst affected. If you've got a view about that, you can call the programme on 0208 808 0693. Now we're going over live to Sierra Leone, where hopefully we can speak to Zainab Tunkara Clarkson. She's an aid worker with Afford UK, which is an organisation that's doing a lot of good work out there in Sierra Leone. However, we are just getting some indication that at the moment we can't reach Zainab, so we'll be coming back a little later on in the show and talking to her, hopefully live from Sierra Leone, about the situation out there. We want to get the first-hand account of what's going on the ground. In the meantime, I'm here with plenty of newspapers and just taking a look at some of what's in the news. There's the Independent has done a double-page spread actually on a story which I've covered before in past years as a journalist. I used to be editor of New Nation a little while ago, and they've done a double-page spread. Just hold that up on Krishna Maharaj, and he's someone who was convicted of a double murder in Florida 28 years ago, and he still protests his innocence, and there's many people who believe that he is someone that is innocent of that particular crime. And of course, it's the day as well that Ed Miliband is starting his fight back. He has slipped in the opinion polls below Nick Clegg, which takes some doing, I guess. There is Ed Miliband, but he's currently giving a speech which is being very well received, certainly by his invited supporters there, where he hopes to fight back after poll jitters, according to The Guardian, which is saying that the embattled Labour leader has vowed to help victims of the zero economy. Another piece of political jargon that seems to have emerged there that we'll have to get to grips with in past weeks and months. Now, I'm very pleased to be joined by paper reviewer and journalist Juliana Olapido. Welcome to the show, Juliana.
Well, you've got a little bit of Movember going on here.
I have a little bit of Movember. In fact, I was... well, I'm glad you said that, because nobody seems to like it, and I was kind of suckered into it because I did a paper review on another station, on Sky, and they were talking about Movember and challenged me, and so live on air gave the pledge that I would do this, and here it is.
In the, I think in the European community, Movember is obviously more widely known, isn't it? But you've actually got quite a big one growing. If you've just been growing it in November, I'm very impressed.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Anyway, we're just going through some of the papers, and I know that you've hot-footed it here. Talking about Ed Miliband and his fight for survival. At the moment, Labour has now fallen behind the Conservatives in the polls, and he's right now delivering what's called
I think he's just delivered his speech,
Is it just finished?
He's just finished delivering. I managed to catch a little bit.
Do you think it's going to do the job?
It's going to have to do the job. Let's be honest, you know, we're in November, the elections are in May. I think the timing of this is absolutely ridiculous. You know, Labour, you know, whether people like them or not, they've actually got a good chance of taking this election. So I find it really funny that it's not just the backbenchers, but I think it's, you know, there's been whispers that it's people within, you know, the shadow cabinet that are actually going against Ed Miliband, which I think, you know, the timing is really inaccurate. I'm a fan of him, I've got to say.
Absolutely. Also, just looking at the Daily Mail here, the Daily Mail are going with why aren't crooked bankers in prison? And just hold that up there. This is a story about how banks have been fined 2.5 billion for fixing currency rates. There seems to be a little club that's gone on between people right at the top of the banking industry, texting each other, Facebook messaging each other, all sorts of other things to try and fix the rates between them. Do you think this story will run and run? Has it got legs?
Well, this story's been running and running for years. This is something we all know about, isn't it?
It's not new, is it?
It's not a new story. It's good that the Daily Mail have brought it up. I think any time you're sort of, it's not corruption, but any time we're outing the bankers for bad boy behaviour is good. You know, it's not a surprise that they're fixing currency rates. I think this is something they're doing. I think the only thing that I find quite disturbing about this story, Lester, is just basically how cocky they are. They think they can get away with everything and do whatever they say and do whatever they like. And also some of the language that's been used in their conversation, you know, you could compare it to sort of text speech. But really good that they picked it up, but I don't think anybody is surprised at something like this.
Absolutely. Are there any stories that you've picked out there?
Well, the story I heard this morning, and it's only on the cover of the Daily Mirror, is that the White Widow, Samantha Lethwaite, 30, she was actually the wife or the widow of Jermaine Lindsay, who was one of the 7/7 bombers.
He was the shoe bomber.
He was the shoe bomber? No.
He wasn't the shoe bomber.
He wasn't the shoe bomber.
Was he the underpants bomber?
Yeah, there are so many, so
yes.
Forgive you. But no, actually, she is the widow, well, she's deceased now, but she's the widow of Jermaine Lindsay, who was one of the 7/7 bombers, the only
Absolutely.
black guy. There was a black person, a lot of people don't know that. There was actually a black person who bombed the underground. But she's been killed, allegedly, in Russia, and she was fighting on the side of the Ukrainians. This story is really messy. You know, I think anyone who's been killed in bombing is it's sad. I know Samantha Lethwaite has a lot of people that are against her. She was supposedly spotted in Uganda. She was also supposed to be a part of the Nairobi killings that happened.
Perhaps people just didn't have an idea where she was. It was always a guessing game.
It was always a guessing game with her.
If there was somebody that looks like her, you know, that just happens to be somewhere in Africa, then she's it.
But apparently she's been killed in Ukraine, which is a really funny story. But hopefully, as it goes on and on, the story will develop more. Of course, it's coming out
at the same time that the person from the US Army that supposedly shot Osama bin Laden is now giving interviews as well.
Yeah, again,
saying that he regretted it. It was the one thing that he regrets.
Yeah, it's funny that he said that he regretted it. But if you look over social media, and especially in the American press, you know, they're hailing him a hero. A lot of the people who are victims, or the people who were deceased from 9/11, their family members are calling him God, you know, for doing this, which is really strange. But you know, the Americans can be quite egocentric. But yeah, that's another story that's been coming out.
Absolutely, yes. I'm looking at a story in the Voice here, which has come out today, and it actually features myself because
we're not being narcissistic at all, are we?
We're not being narcissistic.
Mr. Holloway.
But it has made the news, which is that I resigned from the Liberal Democrats over racism, and we will be speaking.
I've never heard. What's going on? This is an exclusive, right?
No, it's not quite an exclusive. It was on Channel 4, but we'll be speaking to Pauline Pearce, otherwise known as the Hackney Heroine, a little later on in the show, and she is someone who pulled out of the race to be party president of the Liberal Democrats, saying that the party held Neanderthal views and was guilty of underhand racism. So I guess we'll be comparing notes on that score.
I suppose so. But just to add a comment, it's a shame that you felt the need to resign. But can I say, and you know, urge to people out there that, you know, when you're joining political parties, especially if you're part of the BME community, you know that Neanderthal, you know, that's nothing new, Lester, unless there's something, you know, really serious happening at the top. You know, we of course know that there aren't many blacks and there aren't many women in Parliament at the moment. But we need people to be strong and stay put. So I'm definitely going to be listening to that.
Absolutely. We'll be getting to the break soon, but I do want to take this story here in the Daily Telegraph, which is headlined, Law to Protect Foreign Aid Rejected. This is a row that's going on between the Conservatives and the Liberal Democrats, where Philip Hammond, who's the Foreign Secretary, the new Foreign Secretary for the Conservatives, is rejecting what he calls a bizarre plan to enshrine in law Britain's commitment to spend 0.7% of gross domestic product every year on aid, which is what they do currently. In fact, actually, the Liberal Democrats were, I think, very key to pushing the government to making sure they hit and stayed at 0.7% and effectively ring-fencing it, even while other parts of the government budget got cut. But I think that from the Conservative side, there's been some disquiet, saying, perhaps when the austerity squeeze is squeezing other parts of Britain, that, we need to borrow a little bit more from the aid budget. So a coalition row brewing there. What's your view about that?
To be honest with you, I think when you see it in terms of the percentage, it's quite low, 0.7%. Come on, let's be honest, in 100%. 0.7%.
But it adds up to quite a few billion.
It does add up to quite a few billions. And, I'm kind of on the fence here.
12 billion, in fact.
I think it's important for Britain, especially, look what they're doing with Ebola. I think it's important for Britain as a nation, as a country, to be at the forefront of providing aid. But then, of course, when you're hearing that every day, at least 100 elderly people are dying because of the winter fuel allowance and because they can't afford to heat up their homes, you do wonder, we do need to look after people on the home front. But then, again, I don't want to jump on this bandwagon, but Britain have taken from countries for years. That's what made Britain great. So if they can give back every now and then, I do think it's a good thing.
OK. Thank you so much, Juliana, for joining us. And we'll be back after the break talking about Ebola in West Africa, particularly Guinea, Sierra Leone and Liberia. We'll hopefully be going live to Sierra Leone. We'll also be speaking about the Liberal Democrats, as we mentioned just a moment ago, talking about racism, not just within the Liberal Democrats, but within the whole body politic. Do we live in a situation where political parties are welcoming and promoting black and ethnic minority people in Britain? And we'll also be speaking about the N-word as well, after Piers Morgan, the CNN presenter, said that African Americans in particular need to do more to try and stamp out the word. In fact, he said that the N-word should be tied to a post and whipped like a slave, his words, not mine. And that itself has been something which has provoked a great deal of concern. But anyway, we'll be back right after this break talking about all that and more.
The Moment When, an event you definitely want to be at. 16th November at the Amersham Arms, 388 New Cross Road, London SE14 6TY. Doors open from 7:30, and it's going to be a night that will see some of London's finest talent hitting the stage to show off their singing, acting and spoken word abilities. Topped off with our guest inspirational speaker. Definitely a night not to be missed. For more information, you can call through on 079 08 58 2493.
Whoa, 96.9 Cool FM. That was Check and Balance by my homeboy, Burner Boy, produced by Spells. Big shout outs to these guys doing amazing stuff. It is still the cool station. My name is Kayla, also known as the sexy superhero. How y'all doing? Hope you're having a great time on the show. Talking about resolve, talking about fun. People have been tweeting, asking me, Kayla, what's happening this December? What's going on? Where are we supposed to be hanging out? Well, the very first annual BEN TV Awards 2014 is taking place on the 11th of December. And they're having nominees and autograph party. Now, I just want you to be part of this party, honestly, because it's going to be the biggest party of the year. Now, to be part of the party, all you need to do is follow Ben TV on Instagram, okay, and on Twitter, it's at BenTV_awards. And you can also like their Facebook page, which is Ben TV Awards, okay, so simple. Now, the next step you need to do is just send us a short statement why you want to be at the party. You can say, I want to hang out with Burna Boy, I want to hang out with Kayla, I want to hang out with all the superstars. And then the final thing is just try to make yourself look super hot like the sexy superhero. Just get your nice outfit and come party. That's all you need to do to be part of the biggest party of the year. It's the nominees and autograph party, the Ben TV Awards 2014. Ben TV Awards, bridging the gap.
Talk Time, the social, political and cultural youth show that puts your issues first.
We cover all the hot topics such as domestic violence,
Gun and knife crime,
youth adoption,
teen pregnancy,
youth unemployment,
and well, basically the list goes on.
so all the hot topics affecting the youth, we cover it. So what time's that show on, Letitia?
That would be Thursday, 6 till 7.
So we see you guys then.
Yes, we will.
Hello, welcome back to the Ben Politics show with me, Lester Holloway, in the studio here, talking about various different issues. We'll be going live to Sierra Leone to talk about Ebola and the situation on the ground there. We'll also be talking about the N-word, and also we'll be discussing the Liberal Democrats and racism. Well, all that and more coming up. But first, in the studio here with paper reviewer Juliana Olapido. First of all, I have to say that you also used to work for OK Magazine in Nigeria, didn't you?
Oh gosh, that's going back years. I worked. I was actually part of the initial team to take OK to Nigeria under Alexandra Amosu. I did that ages ago. Since then, I've done so many things. I've worked with Channel 4, the BBC, ITN most recently, and I'm actually in talks with Channel 4 next week. So I'm probably going to be doing another gig with them as well.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed for that.
Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. We're looking at the papers here. What's the next story that you're going to?
Well, a story. I know you're going to talk about Ebola, but I did actually want to talk about Band-Aid,
Yes.
Band-Aid 30. I don't know if you've discussed that, but a lot of people have been jumping on this bandwagon on Bob Geldof and giving him a really hard time. And I'm kind of thinking, you know, what are we doing? What are the black community doing for Ebola? You know, Peaches Geldof died a few months ago. A lot of people are saying, you know, he needs to focus on drugs, seeing as that's affected his family so much. And also, you know, he's being very narcissistic. He just wants his name out there. He's pushing it. But anybody that's going to do anything to raise funds for Ebola is obviously a good thing. I think yesterday morning there was a huge article in The Guardian talking about why Band-Aid 30 is so wrong, but I don't really see that it is wrong. And I would like the BME community to stand up and say, actually, it's a good thing, because I don't really see many people within the diaspora from that community doing much to raise funds to help.
Live Aid was very much of its time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that, you know, it was perhaps needed at the time, but even though it did give the impression about the sort of beneficent white hand, if you like, from the West reaching down and helping these poor, starving Ethiopian children. But perhaps, you know, 30 years later, we have kind of moved on from there. You know,
Have we?
Those sort of images are not really acceptable anymore. Aid agencies tend not to use
I think
starving African children as images anymore.
Well, it depends how much you watch television. They do use starving African children, actually.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, I cringe every time I watch the BBC and you hear, you know, the West Africans bought this, the West Africans bought this. You know, they're doing the same thing they've always done. It's propaganda, isn't it? You know, they're just using slicker methods. And to be honest with you, that's why I agree and I support Band-Aid 30, because we don't have anybody from the BME community. It's fair enough saying we've moved on 30 years. We don't need the white man handing out the solution. But then who else is handing out the solution? Because clearly we're not doing anything.
Yes, and there has been a certain amount of Ebola raising fundraisers, but they're still quite low level.
Oh yeah, we're talking about thousands of
which
pounds.
Has really galvanised and really got millions of pounds. At the end of the day, I think the black population in Britain is about 1 million. So if everyone just raises £1, then we have £1 million straight away.
Maybe that's a call.
Help the Ebola crisis.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes, we do have a caller now. So let's go to the caller.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, my name is John.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah, hello.
Oh, hello. Yes, you're through to the Politics Show.
Yeah.
What's your name?
I just want to contribute regarding the issue of the Ebola. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I just want to contribute the issue of the Ebola.
Yes, go ahead.
The image that sometimes. To me, I'm an African man from Nigeria. To be honest with you, I don't blame the people who use those images, because if you look at the whole world here, everybody is trying to get something for themselves. No one will tell you that it's coming to come and help you. You think truly it's coming to help you. The person is coming to help you and also to take more than what he helps you. You see, I will blame the African leader for that, not the people who use the image. The image they use, some are right, some are not right. Who can prove that? You understand me? When Africa refuse to arrange themselves in a proper way to govern themselves, that's the kind of thing that will be happening. Yeah, very soon now, it's the Western world who is using the African image. What's
governance got to do with it?
Use the African image.
Yeah, some people might say, if you're looking at the crisis of Ebola in West Africa, all those countries have actually undergone the trauma of enslavement. They've gone the trauma of colonialism. They've been underdeveloped for many decades,